So, welcome back to Seinfeld Saturday. It has been a while. So, this is where I break down and kind of review individual Seinfeld episodes. I'm not really sure what happened. I miss doing this. I haven't done it in a while. Seinfeld is my all time favorite show, so I am back. If my voice sounds a little weird, I've been sick for the last week or two. Nothing serious. I don't know, my throat's been kind of sore. But today I'm going to be talking about Season 2, Episode 4, titled The Baby Shower. And The Baby Shower originally aired on May 16th of 1991. Now, I should probably mention that I am going through the series by box set, and for some frustrating reason, the seasons are not in chronological order. And I had totally forgot about that. And actually, now that I mention that, I think I'm gonna fix it. So after this, I will be going through them in order, in the order that they aired, and not in the order that they have them in the box set. God, that's frustrating. I wish I'd have remembered that. I mean, this is like my fifth or sixth episode, and whatever. We'll just push forward from here out. So technically, this is the 10th episode of the second season, but again, whatever. It's super frustrating. I'll just be bitter about it forever until it eventually destroys me from within. Anyways, this was one of the Larry Charles written episodes, directed by Tom Sharones, and saw mostly negative critical response. I don't know, I mean, Season 2 isn't one of the stronger seasons in my opinion, but this one is, pretty funny. I like it, especially the George moments. So the beginning shows Jerry, Elaine, and George eating at Monk's Cafe, of course. Elaine brings up her friend Leslie and how she is pregnant. And Elaine is responsible for planning the baby shower. And George George once went out on a date with Leslie, thanks to Elaine setting them up, some years back. He was quite the favorite too, since the general consensus is that Leslie is way out of George's league. He claims that it was by far the worst date of his life. She was a performance artist, and according to George, she brought him up on stage during her act, spilled chocolate on his shirt, and by the end of the night, she went home with a different guy. So, sounds like a George story. So he never did hear from her again, but he does still have the chocolate-stained shirt, saying that he can still wear it under sweaters because, the collar looks fine. And Elaine is actually really stressed about this baby shower, since it's not so much that she wanted to do it, it's more that she was never able to say no to Leslie. Jerry gives her permission to use his apartment for the baby shower, but he's hesitant. George openly plots his revenge should he see Leslie again. He kind of tells Jerry about this little plan that he has. And the next scene shows Jerry fidgeting with his TV, trying to get reception after his cable was shut off due to legal issues with the cable company. I can actually vaguely... I feel like I vaguely remember that when I was a kid. There were like, the cable company had some kind of legal trouble that they were in, or not so much trouble, but like a dispute, and nobody had cable for a brief period. I feel like I do remember that. Who knows? And Kramer suggests that Jerry gets an illegal cable hookup, and he knows a guy. Of course he does. And he is a Russian immigrant that escaped from the Gulag, Kramer likes to say. This is part of what always made Kramer so interesting. I mean, of course he's plenty entertaining on his own, but all the characters he introduces throughout the show, always fun. Jerry doesn't want to do anything illegal, of course, until Kramer reminds him that the New York Mets have 75 games on cable that year, and that pretty much seals the deal. And while Jerry's flying to a comedy gig, he has a dream. It's a really funny scene. This dream where he and Kramer were set up by the police in a very cop movie-esque scene. Jerry tries to run away and all the cops shoot him to death. I don't really recall any scenes like this again in Seinfeld. It's a nice little touch, I'd say, kind of ambitious, really. Larry Charles was a good fit for Seinfeld, I think. And Jerry wakes up from his dream just in time for the plane to make an emergency landing because of this blizzard they're flying through. George drives out to the airport to pick him up because George is a good pal. Jerry says that they can't go back to his place yet because of the baby shower, but George is kind of acting a bit strange. Jerry suggests they go to George's place. Nah, I hate my place. He suggests that they get food, but George isn't hungry. George suggests they should at least stop by to drop off Jerry's stuff, when all of a sudden Jerry notices that George is wearing a red-colored shirt under a sweater. So he grabs his shirt, lifts it up, and yep, it's a chocolate-stained shirt. This was all George's plan to get to the baby shower so he could exact his revenge on Leslie. Meanwhile, back at Jerry's place, Kramer walks in with two Russian dudes to install the illegal cable box. And so now that George admits his ulterior motives to Jerry, he recites his speech that he's been saving for Leslie that clearly he's put a lot of time into constructing. I mean, Jerry doesn't believe that George will ever actually go through with it, but George insists that he will. Basically, the last half of the episode or so kind of bounces back and forth between George and Jerry in the car and Elaine and the baby shower at Jerry's apartment. And I said it in the last episode, but this theme of having the different character storylines kind of intersecting in the final scene would become much more frequent in future episodes. And due to the writing always getting better and better as the show progressed, these sequences would only, become more clever and elaborate. I mean, really, I can't possibly praise the strength of the writers on this show enough. It's a classic for a reason. I mean, it's a classic for many reasons, and eventually, we will get to all of them. Just you and me talking about Seinfeld. I mean, there's nothing I'd rather be doing. So Jerry and George arrive in time for everyone leaving the baby shower since the cable guys kind of ruined it. George sees Leslie and an opportunity to strike. He pulls off his sweater, revealing the red shirt with a massive chocolate stain. He approaches her, and she could just not care less. He jogs her memory a bit, and just when he gets to the part where he gives her the rant that he's been saving, he backs down, just like Jerry said he would. Instead, it turns out that a woman at the baby shower had a similar situation with Jerry, where they went out once and he never called her again. And she gives him this pretty similar rant that George, had saved for Leslie, and it's pretty epic. Ouch. This was actually pretty much shoehorned into the scene to have Jerry more involved. I assume because at this point the producers had already made the writers aware that they didn't like there being too many scenes where Jerry wasn't the focal point. And this woman, the actress that played her, she had a background in like drama-type TV shows, so she was perfect for this scene. Even on what I imagine was fairly short notice. And as she leaves Jerry's apartment, she accidentally bumps into Leslie, who was holding a piece of chocolate cake, which gets smashed into George's shirt yet again. This is very George Costanza. Something like this only could happen to him. Christine Dunford, the woman who played Leslie, would appear again in season 5, but playing a different character, although I think it would have been cool for the Leslie character to reappear, but she never does. So obviously the baby shower went badly, and Jerry isn't impressed. He tells the cable guys to just forget about it. They demand that he pay a much higher price than Kramer had originally quoted him. Jerry refuses to pay it. And as Leslie is leaving the apartment, you see George carrying out all her gifts for her. You kind of learn a lot about George in this episode, and at this point in the series, these are some of the best George scenes in my opinion. And the next scene shows Jerry, George, and Elaine all staring at Jerry's TV, which had been smashed by the disgruntled cable guys. Oh, and that very same day, the legal dispute with the cable company had been settled. So all of that chaos was kind of for nothing. Thanks, Kramer. And I love how Kramer is often the cause of things like this, and half the time he just seems to be kind of completely oblivious to it. I think we've all had a friend like that, but he's such a loyal friend that Jerry continues to put up with him. I mean, come on, it's Kramer. Now, we still aren't to the classic Seinfeld years, in my opinion, but we are getting there. Season 2 actually has some pretty classic episodes. And like I said earlier, I'm going to, after this video, I'm going to, get to actually reviewing the episodes in chronological order, not the order that they are in the DVD. Anyway, I had to say it again. Seinfeld fans just deserve better. And it's kind of funny because I haven't actually watched the show in proper order since its original syndication. I mean, I've had these DVDs for like a million years now, and I've always just watched them in that order. So I appreciate anyone who's been watching this far, and now that we're on the right track, things are going to be cool. Let's fucking do this. For a score, a pointless number that sloppy amateurs like myself attach to things, I'm going to give The Baby Shower a 7.5 out of 10. And I'll remind you that a 5 would be average, because that's how numbers work. And no Seinfeld episode gets less than a 7 from me, because it's just the best show of all time. Well, that's it for now. Until next time, what is your opinion of The Baby Shower? Is it one of your favorite episodes? One of your least favorites? Let me know. I like to hear from you guys. I could talk about Seinfeld all fucking day. But I digress. Cheers, guys.